Welcome to the POMcast with Steve Willis, your independent, unbiased, and unbought source for Ole Miss athletics. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you doing today? Stephen Willis with the POMcast here this morning from the palatial Central Florida studios that I'm currently basically camping in because there is no furniture. But there is a TV and there is a futon and we're going to make it work. Anyway, before we get started, you can follow us at the Stephen Willis on Twitter, on Old Positively also on Twitter. That's the show Twitter handle. You can catch up on Facebook at www.facebook.com/POMcast. And you can catch us on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss, and you can catch us on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss. Now, you can do the audio offerings that are available through Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. So that is available for you. But I hope everybody is doing well. It's Friday. It's Friday morning, but it's Friday. And I think that's worth celebrating, honestly. Last night, the Ole Miss men's basketball team opened up. They opened up with an 80-45 win over Jackson State. I have thoughts. But they looked relatively good. The record for the lowest scoring first half was in the books for this game. They were ahead at halftime 41-12. Well, what does that mean? Well, Jackson State went up 6-4 inside of 3 minutes in the game. So 6-4. Let's say 17-minute mark. I haven't rewatched it or anything. I just a guess. It was early on. From that point on until halftime, the remainder of the half, the run for Ole Miss was 37-6. That's how much from that point on Ole Miss outscored Jackson State. From Kermit's time on, that's what happened. The stars of the game were probably Devontae Shuler and Romello White. There's a whole lot of just, get you over normal performances from people, but those are the two that stands out. Devontae Shuler was perfect from the three-point range. I think he was 5 of 5. And Romello White just looks like he is. He's an athletic beast. And he ended up with 8 points, 6 boards. But, in the second half, there was not much that had to be done. Devontae Shuler ended up with 23 points. Hadim C. with 11 points. And then a bunch of single digits. The only one that looks like they didn't score was 2. Dude Collum and Sean Robinson were the only 2 that didn't score in this game. But everybody played. It was not a good day for heralded freshman Matthew Morrell. He ended up with 4 points, all from the line. He was 0 for 7 shooting. But he obviously had nerves for this game. From throwing up the first air ball, he never settled down. And that is to be expected. Before everybody starts saying, whoa, this kid, whatever. No, this is to be expected because his first college game was supposed to be 2 weeks ago. And then it gets shut down, so he has to wait. The anticipation, everything that comes in. He just has to settle down. You can see it in his game. You can see it where he comes off in the rotation. I think he got on the floor last night before Demencio Vaughn, who, by the way, is an excellent passer and is a very polished player on the floor. I actually really like Demencio Vaughn. He ended up with, let's see, what did he have last night? 4 points. He only played 14 minutes, but 2 assists. They're obviously sharing the basketball. 21. 21 was the team number. And they were a little sloppy at times. There was time when you were watching it, everything would get broken up by a turnover parade on both sides. In the first half, Jackson State was traveling about every other possession and getting called for it. So it was kind of a choppy first half. I like Robert Allen, too, by the way. Another little lefty. Austin Crowley, he just had a game. Luis Rodriguez had a game, but he's a defensive stopper. He didn't shoot the ball very well. But for the game, Devontae Shuler was 9 of 10 from the field, 5 of 5 from 3. That's crazy. That's ridiculous numbers. And he ended up with 2 assists, 3 steals, and a rebound. So that's a good way to start your first campaign. The assist leader last night was Luis Rodriguez, by the way. But 80-45. It was a good number, and it could have been a lot worse. They took their foot off the gas. Yeah, what else were they supposed to do? You want to get a lot of players. You miss some times. They had to shut down the building. So, of course, they used that basically as a scrimmage. That was the old Spirit Express game. That's what that reminded me a little bit of. Back in the day, they would play the exhibition against the traveling teams. Yeah, they always played Spirit Express. And that's what that reminded me of. But 80-45, there's a nice 35-point win to start. It could have been worse, but it wasn't. But what are you going to do? All right, segment 1 in the books. We'll come back. Talk to you in a little bit. Ole Miss 80, Jackson State 45. Positively Ole Miss POMcast. Stick around.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese.
We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
Welcome back to the POMcast. Again, Ole Miss 80, Jackson State 45, first game of the season. Ole Miss has UNC Wilmington at 4 or 5 o'clock Saturday. With the Eastern time zone, you have to excuse me. I don't know if my devices have caught up or if they're still in Central time zone. But I think they're on Eastern time zone, so expect 4 o'clock Saturday. Ole Miss in Central Arkansas is Monday at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, somewhere in there. And Ole Miss versus Middle Tennessee is Wednesday. So, and they play the 19th against Dayton. That's probably the first game that everybody's going to pay attention to. It's also almost the end of the non-conference slate. After that is UT Martin, and then we get in with Alabama. And they do, after Alabama, play Wichita State. But it gets real here pretty quick. But Ole Miss 80, Jackson State 45. Pretty good game. It was fun to watch. And you notice the basketball team looks more polished of what they're doing and on a day-to-day, play-to-play basis. It looks more like a Kermit Davis team. They've evolved into that over 3 years. So you can see that now. But it's kind of cool. I mean, what are you going to do? Now, I do not like the threes and layups, the analytical game. That's not my favorite. I like the mid-range jumper. I like everything. I like the variety. You wouldn't watch college sports or care about college sports if you don't like variety. That's going to be a main component of your love, is the variety. I mean, in my lifetime, let's just go back to the 90s and with Ole Miss football. I've seen trap option. I've seen, Larry Beckett's Larry Quick. Noel Mazzoni's offense, a little bit different. David Cutcliffe's offense, a little different. Ed Orgeron's offense was non-existent. Houston Nutt's offense was very different. Then it went to Hugh Freeze's offense, very different. I mean, it's variety. That's the reason we love college sports. If everybody starts playing analytics basketball, you're going to see a homogeny just develop. You're going to see all the teams play the same way, and that makes for a less interesting product. And your core audience, which obviously likes variety, or that's why they're in this, they're going to go. If everything looks like the NBA, they're going to bail. I mean, that just happens. There's going to be a few maybe that will just fight it and do what they do. But we have to be careful. Homogeny is bad. Diversity is good. Thought, the way you play, everything. But I just wanted to put that out there. It's not that they're doing it. It's just we need to be careful because we're kind of teetering on that. Kind of like in the music industry today. I know if you don't listen to music, you don't really follow it, but I had to basically quit because for the last 5 years or so, there's been the one type of music, or there's only one genre of music for everybody, and it just makes everything kind of sound alike. It makes country music what used to be pop music. There is no country music at the moment. You have to deep cut on Spotify. I mean, it's just the way it is. But, yeah, diversity in music and the way that things play, they're all just going down and down, down. And that's because everybody is looking directly off of a spreadsheet. What is the most popular? Okay, everybody sound like this. What's the most successful play? Okay, everybody play this way. They also don't realize that whenever you do that, that is current analytics that is subject to change. If everybody is playing that way, it changes the analytics. But maybe we haven't gotten that far yet. So let's see if they figure that out. But analytics basically it can be a tool. But if you're basing 100% your knowledge off of a single analytic or an analytic period, you are not knowledgeable about the subject. And you are actually just explaining the analytic. You might understand that and not understand the sport. So you just talk about the analytic. It's a crutch. It's a mask. It's a way to make people that aren't knowledgeable. Make them seem that way. But yeah, this is a scattershot show, by the way. But that's the point of, yeah, because if it gets homogenous, the viewership of college basketball is going to tank. It just is. The viewership of the NBA is going to tank soon, too. Numbers might be down year over year anyway, but the homogeneity makes for a less aesthetically pleasing project. I mean, you want it to look a little bit different. When Michael Jordan was running things, I know this is way back in ancient times, but when Michael Jordan was running things, you had the Detroit Pistons playing a certain way, the New York Knicks playing a certain way. You had to fight. There was distinct systems. The Seattle Supersonics and Sonics and the Phoenix Suns and, I think it was Paul Westhead or Paul Westphal. They look different. There was probably 4 or 5 systems in the NBA, which is 30 teams. I mean, there was some copying. Everybody said it's a copycat league, but you would end up with all those systems, and you break them down. And it was fun to watch. That's the reason it was the heyday of the league. That's the reason, if you go back and look at the Jordan documentaries, it was a big deal back then. And that drop in viewership has been masked by their overseas properties. So all of a sudden, they don't think it matters. Again, this is money way too close to content, by the way. This is the same thing. All over our life, money is making us less free. Period. I've spent the better part of the last year just clipping ties that keeps me attached to my day job. And we're down to one left for true independence. And every time one of those ties cut, it feels so good. And you don't realize the hold that your job has over you. How much worry, how much angst, how much just kicking the can down the road is a daily thing about that job. That is the real thing that is keeping people down from being able to be truly free. Everybody's talking about wokeness and all this other stuff, and it's garbage. this should be the fight. They've done a good job. They've done a real good job of masking it and causing strife in other areas, distracting you. But that money and that hold that your job has over you, and not just your money, but your benefits. The fact that we've attached healthcare to work, to where if you leave and you go try and break off on your own, that benefit is severed. And there's a chance if something happens, you want to roll the dice of something going wrong. Especially right now. So whenever these businesses do all these cold layoffs and just walk people out of the building, you realize how much they just don't care. They just don't care about people. There's a lot of platitudes and a way to placate the masses so they'll do their job, but they just don't care. This went into a rant about corporate America, and it probably doesn't need to go there, and y'all don't care about that. Anyway, when we come up, we're going to close it up for the week right here on the POMcast. Thanks for listening, guys.
You want to answer that, don't you? I bet it's just killing you seeing the soft glow just inches away. Someone wants to tell you something or ask you something. Oh, come on, answer it already! Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive. A message from Florida's trusted choice independent insurance agents.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis. I just want you to stick around a little longer. We're going to get back to the podcast right after these messages.
Tonight, nearly 40,000 veterans across the country are homeless. These men and women have pledged to serve our nation, and now we must serve them. Landlords across the country have helped make significant progress in reducing veteran homelessness by making housing available, but there is more that we can do to bring our veterans home. Visit www.va.gov/homeless to see how you can get involved. And if you are a veteran and you are experiencing homelessness, please call 877-4AID-VET. Thank you.
POMcast, welcome back, everybody. Down here from the palatial Central Florida studios that I'm currently camping in. Had some flooring put in and some painting done, and it actually looks really good. So that's what I've been doing here, and I have another construction project that has to be done next week. So we'll be down here next week as well. After that, we will be back in Nashville for about a week. We will take a break from the podcast from Christmas Eve to about the week after New Year's, around January 4th. So there's going to be a break from like December 23rd to January 4th. Just keep that in mind. And then whenever we get down here and everything, we are scheduled to have furniture and everything here by the end of the week in January, hopefully. And by doing that, we'll be completely moved in and we can start to roll. And we're going to take that, and we have a little bit to do in the house. And once that's done, we're going to get the equipment and build the actual studio for the POMcast and other shows on this channel, and invest the $20,000 in equipment. We're looking at about a $2,000 camera at the moment. But that's the plan. And hopefully by April we'll be up and running. But a lot of that involves construction and just basically setting up what needs to be done. So just a heads up, full transparency, what we're doing. And, as you know, we brought in an Oxford correspondent. He's going to start in January once we get up and rolling. Chris Thrasher. He's a former vet. He's been in Afghanistan and Iraq. And that's cool. And if you listen to the podcast, you can see that I take veterans very seriously. And I don't know. I don't know how good he is. But we're going to bring him on and we're going to give him a shot because I want to give a vet a shot. That's why. But he's going to take the temperature in Oxford. He's going to go to games and such in my stead. And then we're going to bring him on the show. And he's going to talk about it. And we're going to come at it from the fans' perspective because that is one thing that, basically has lost, the fans' perspective. Everybody is like, yeah, but people right now. I have a take, yeah, but it could be wrong. And everybody wants to be in the middle and seem unbiased when everybody is biased. I mean, we have seen that over and over and again for the last 4 years. If you don't pretend you're biased and you won't admit you're biased, you're just a fraud. And it's just period. So we're going to come at it from the fans' perspective. We're going to talk about uniforms. We're going to talk about the feeling in Oxford for big games. We are going to talk about what's going on, inside that town, and it's probably going to be pretty cool. It's going to be fun. And if you want to join the podcast, reach out to me. That's what Chris did. And we can come up with a correspondent role for you. You might be interested in recruiting. You might be interested in uniforms. You might whatever you want to be the subject matter expert of the fan base for. That position is available right now for you. So just reach out to me and we can kind of move forward with that. So kind of a cool thing. But it is Friday, and on this Friday, I do want to say I apologize for sounding like we're doing the podcast in a barrel. What's happening is there's no furniture in here because I'm camping, so sound waves are bouncing off basically every surface and creating the hollow sound that you hear. So I do apologize for that. It will get better as we move forward, probably when we come back after the new year. But I just wanted to apologize for that. Being though it's Friday, I'm just really excited. I wish Ole Miss was playing Texas A&M tomorrow, but they're not. But Central Arkansas is on the offering currently. And them having a game Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday, and the following Saturday gives me something to do while I'm down here camping. So it's pretty cool. And I also bought it looks like a Fire Stick, but it has 600 old Nintendo games on it. And the controllers are Nintendo controllers, but they're Bluetooth. Got one of them too. They cost me like $40. It's a pretty good buy. So just there's plenty of avenues to keep herself busy at the moment. No commitments last night that I'm aware of. That's fine. But it just kind of heads down that road. Anyway, that is our show for today. I am glad you tuned in. We will be back next week with more stuff. We'll talk about the Central Arkansas game Saturday, Monday, and we will preview the Monday game as well as it being LSU week. Come back and join us, and thank you very much, and hotty toddy.